Hey everyone, this is David Pike, Motorcity Mechanic. Today's video is going to be on the Chrysler 300, Dodge Magnum, and the Dodge Charger. Your model is going to go everywhere from 2005 all the way up to 2010. I'm going to show you step by step how to remove the steering angle sensor. So, what is a steering angle sensor to begin with? It's a sensor that's mounted in the upper portion of the steering column. And on these particular vehicles, the LX body styles, the clock spring has little notches cut out in the upper portion, and they rotate past the sensor. And as they rotate by, the sensor is able to interpret where the steering wheel is as far as in degrees. And based off of that input and some other variables such as your vehicle wheel speed sensors, it can tell both the ABS module what's going on, and that way ABS and your electronic stability control can act accordingly. Such if you're taking a high-speed turn, it knows basically what's going on, it knows what direction you're steering, it knows if you're hitting the brakes what's going on, if one of them wants to lock up, one of them's not locking up, it can anticipate what's going on. It is literally the eyes of the steering system. It now knows where the car is pointed. So based off of that and a few other things, that's one of the fundamental items on your electronic stability control system. So definitely it's very important, and make sure you get it initialized after doing any repairs. The sensor will work, yes, but you will have lights on your dash. You can have everything from the ABS brake and the ESP light on if you do not have it initialized afterwards. What is initializing the sensor? You're using a scanner and you're basically calibrating the sensor to find out what is straight ahead, what's left, what's right, stuff like that. And it involves driving the vehicle with the scanner hooked up, and the scanner tells you step by step what it wants you to do. Drive straight, certain number of miles per hour, it wants me to do a 3-point turn, stuff like that. Those things are very important for that test to actually complete and initialize the sensor. Yes, you can replace it yourself. But if you don't have the proper scanner to initialize it, then you will be visiting either an independent repair shop that does have the equipment or the local dealership. So definitely, after we do this repair, I'll reiterate that again because it's a very important item in that step. So let's move on to going ahead and disconnect the battery. So pretty much any kind of work we're going to be doing on the steering wheel and column is going to involve removing the driver's side airbag assembly. So anytime you got to deal with the airbag assembly or anything on the vehicle that's airbag related, you're going to want to disconnect the battery. The battery on this vehicle is located in the trunk up under the false floor next to the spare tire. Go ahead and disconnect the negative cable on that. Wait approximately 15 minutes. At that time the capacitors in the systems get time to discharge, and then you can proceed to getting the airbag assembly off. That way you don't hurt yourself or do any damage to the vehicle. So for those of you that have Magnums, Chargers, 300s, if you don't know where your battery is, open up the trunk, move everything out of the way, grab your false floor, pick it up, and what you'll see is on the passenger side right here will be your battery. So that's what you'll have to disconnect anytime you do anything electrical in the car, or if you need to replace your battery, that's where it's located. Now the airbag assembly is held in place with two 10mm bolts. They go through the back of the steering wheel into the actual cover assembly. What we have to do is you can reposition the steering wheel as much as you needed by rotating it. The main side you got to rotate for is the left side because you got your cruise control and your multi-function switch. Once you raise it or lower it, whatever you need to do, you can get to the back side. I'm just going to be using a 10mm deep 1/4" socket and a 1/4" ratchet, and I can get access through the little holes they got back here. I can break it loose and start taking it off. Now we've got two of them to take off, like I said, and once I get those off, we'll be able to pull the airbag assembly off the vehicle. Now here's the last 10mm I got to get to, and like I said, you can see the access hole. And I get my socket and break it loose and start working it. So this is my last one. Once I get this one off, time for the airbag. Now what I want to do, I want to get the steering wheel straight again because there's a clock spring related to the steering column, and I go more in detail what the clock spring is once we get to it. But I want everything to be straight. That way it's in its straight ahead position so I don't have any problems. And just grab the airbag at this point and I can pull back. Now we do have some electrical connectors we've got to take loose. We've got the two airbag connectors here. One of them's yellow and brown, the other is yellow and black. And we've got the horn. I'm just going to use anything I've got. I've got a pocket knife here. I can get up in here to pry the lock off the horn. There we go. And on the airbags, we've got a plastic grout on this one. It's kind of a wire tie with a loop that goes over one of the mounting studs that position the harness. I'm just going to kind of work that off. Now when you get down to these airbag connectors, you're going to have to squeeze in on the sides to get them off. So what you got to do is, I use both my fingers, or if you get a pair of needle nose pliers you can. You just squeeze in on both sides and lift up. There's a finger here and there's a finger on the other side. So all you do is just squeeze in, lift up. Now the airbag can come off. Now we got the airbag out of the way. This was your horn pad connector, so that's already disconnected. Now that's going to stay with the steering wheel. Now we've got one harness that comes through the opening of the steering wheel. That's that white connector right here that we need to unplug. Once we get that unplugged, we're down to the center bolt. The center bolt is a 10mm recessed Allen, so I'll get you a 10mm. I'm going to be using the impact to back it off. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to put it back in for a few threads, and then we're going to work on sliding this off. Now what I want to do is I want to leave this bolt on. I want to go ahead and take it off all the way first, and then what I want to do is I'm going to go ahead and thread it on just a few threads. The reason why? Because when I go to pull this steering wheel off, if it wants to stick and then finally come off, I'm not hitting myself in the face looking stupid. So usually these on the 300s want to come off fairly easy, so I just work on it. There we go. I can back it all the way off. There's some cars that'll get to a point where they want to stop, and then you go bam right to your face. Now we're going to route the harness back through for the airbags. And what we need to do, we need to keep an eye on where we got this clock spring oriented. There's a reason why, because if you put it on wrong, you can make a sharp turn to the left or a sharp turn to the right and end up breaking the ribbon that's inside. So currently it's sitting the same way I took it off. Keep it straight, and you want to line this straight up with the keyway on the shaft. Now what we'll do is we'll back out. There's 3 Torx that are recessed down here. Once we back them out, they'll protrude through, and they will actually hold this clock spring in this position and we'll be fine. The new one comes with some locks built into it, so it can't be installed incorrectly. Once you've got it on, you'll pull the locks out, throw them away. But this one, of course, being the original, will not have them. So we just line up the 3 holes where the Torx are, and we'll back those out till they actually stop it from spinning. And then we can just pull the assembly off.